this over here. You gotta stay in the picture. What up, folks? What's up? Pastor Dixon in the house. Pastor Dixon with my mini-me.
I'm not mini-you.
And even though, see, this is where I tag the people at. They can see you, but you can't really see them because I'm tagging the people, okay?
Yeah.
So you can say hey or whatever if you want to. You got to talk to some people you can't even see.
Hello. 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 Bye-bye.
Yeah, this is Brooklyn. This is my granddaughter, folks, and she wanted to just stop by and say hi to everybody.
Hi.
As I'm tagging folks to get on the live.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi. Hi, everybody.
Yeah.
I'm a mini gremlin.
Yeah.
Mini gremlin alive. I'm a mini.
You my A1 from day one.
Or I'm a mini gremlin. Hello, 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 hello.
Then, folks, in the background right here,
Hello.
I got something from some of my old music, of course, like I always have. The name of this song is called Why Can't We Live Together?
Hello.
Which is something that we need to really focus on these days. We need to figure out why we can't live together.
Hello. Hola.
Okay. You know that song? You don't know that song, do you?
I think I just tagged my fingers on live.
Wow. On live?
Yes. You heard that little big boom?
Wow.
You didn't hear it in your ears?
Look at you over there.
Where?
So baby girl is going to be on here for a couple of minutes while I'm tagging folks. And then we're going to get into tonight's live. I hope everybody's had a great day today. Man, we just had some showers come in, some late showers.
Hello, bye-bye. Hola, hola.
You say hola.
Yeah.
You know Spanish?
Yeah.
A little bit? Excellent.
Hola,
Excellent.
hola,
That's about as much as I know too, huh?
hola. Yeah, I know more than you because I'm a kid.
Because you're a kid.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I can even talk backwards. Hola. Hola.
Y'all wonder where I get it from. Okay. No matter what color, you're still my brother. You hear what the words are saying? You're still my brother. No matter what color. Everybody wants to live together. Why can't we live together? Sing it, girl. Sing it, girl. Hey, 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 hey. Be right with you all, okay? I'm finishing up tagging now. Got a few more people to tag right quick, and we're going to get into this sauce in a couple of minutes. Yeah. All right, Boogie Woogie.
Did you know I could boogie?
Mm-hmm.
You told me and you were not even talking.
Okay. Okay, I think we're going to stop about right there.
Yeah. You just stop about right here.
Carrie and Charlie, there's your TT is right there.
Wait, who?
It's your TT name right there. Okay. Bingo. Well, good evening, everybody. Look at this one here, boy, just active. I don't know what I'm going to do. This is a grandpa thing tonight.
Hola.
You saying hi to everybody? Okay, I know you've been saying hi since the music was playing, okay? But I'm so happy to have you with me for a minute, okay? And now, so we're going to get into the business, okay? This one here, she's something else, okay? She's something else. Okay, sweetie, I love you, okay? Tell everybody good night.
Good night.
You going to eat? I know that's right. I'll holler.
I'll be right back.
No.
Bye-bye.
I'm getting back down to the business, okay? I love you.
Okay, tomorrow is just me and you on live.
Good.
Tomorrow.
I just got some orders.
Tomorrow.
She just said tomorrow is me and her on live, okay? All right.
All
First show.
day. All night.
First show.
All night. All night, okay?
It's like that.
All night, okay?
Okay, sweetie, I love you. Close the door. Thank you. Woo, Lord. Y'all wonder why I stay a little bit young, okay? Natanya, good to see you. Kathy, hello. Amazing energy. Lord, Lord, as they say. Jackie, what's going on? How are you this evening? Carol, good to see you. Jonathan, all right. Deidre, good to see you. Faye, all right. Danielle, what's going on? Brady chapter president, Charleston chapter. Love to see you. Sydney, what's happening? Man, I got my educators in the house tonight, for sure. Thank you, Faye. Yeah, she precious and a handful of precious, for sure. Got more energy than I got. Lord. Sarah? Yeah. All right. Michelle, good to see you. Well, Michelle, you've been on it, doggone it. That's all I can say. It's been a few that's really been grinding lately, for sure. But that's par for the course. Clara, how are you? So good to see you. Yeah, Brooklyn been on the scene a little while, haven't she? I've talked to her about, as she gets older, making sure that she continues to channel that energy into advocacy, for sure. We're gonna need some more Angela Davises out here for sure. Like I said, I need some babysitters. No, I'm just kidding. All righty. Yeah, we can bottle that energy up for sure. Nikki, hi, how are you? Good to see you. Abe in the house. Vanessa, Joyce, what's going on? All right. Doing good. Excellent, Clara. Excellent. That's good to hear. Continuing to keep, you and your family in prayer, and that's for sure. Just as I know you all are keeping me in prayer. Yeah, Abe, what's going on? All righty. Man, that was amazing. I still managed to get my my name on the beam there. I wasn't able to come down for the signing, but by God's grace and the amazing grace of the Jenkins household, I was able to get my name on the beam. Thank you all so much. Regina Duggan's in the house. What's going on? School board candidate and about to move forward. Cherry, what's happening? Oh, man, Nikki Savannah in the house. Show you right. Good to see you. And we're going to talk about some general stuff. We're going to talk about some South Carolina Senate stuff, but a lot of what we talk about is going to be definitely focusing on the political realm and that carries beyond South Carolina. It's much deeper than South Carolina. We've been fighting a political battle against some wickedness. What the Christians say, spiritual wickedness in high places. Lord, it's been some real spiritual wickedness in high places. But listen, that song that was on, it was by this guy called was it Timmy Tyler or something like that? Okay, from like the early 70s, 1970s, and the song is entitled "Why Can't We Live Together?" And they asked the question in the song, tell me why we can't live together. Everybody wants to live together. Why can't we live together? Man, just a powerful message out there. A message that was powerful in the 70s that is just as powerful today, because the same question is at hand. Why can't we live together? I don't get it. Within our community, and I believe in transparency, and I believe in being candid. But within our, Timmy Thomas, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Yeah, for sure. Miss Cooper, what's going on? Deborah, what's going on? Sharika, all righty. Kathy, my niece, what's going on? Good to see you. And Daryl for sure. Ida B. Wells in the house. In the house. But I think it's just so strange, and it's something that just baffles me continuously, that in fighting this good fight on the streets, trying to get change for everyone, and so that we can all live together, there are people who actually say they're involved in this fight who have prejudices against one another, interracial prejudices, extra-racial prejudices. People don't like this person because of this, or don't like this person because of that. And the question is always going to be, why can't we just live together? Yeah. So my man took the beat down in California, straight up beat down by law enforcement, and came out of that asking the question, can't we all just get along? I think that's a sign that, we as a nation, if we could really get to that point, then maybe, we could all do better. We could all do better. Miss B, how you doing? All righty. Nicole, what's going on? How are you? All right. Yeah. Tell me why. Why can't we live together? Everybody wants to live together. Why can't we live together? I don't know. I hope everybody's had a great day today. I don't think that tonight's live is going to go that full hour plus some minutes tonight. At least I'm going to try to hold it down. And I'm not going to expand it beyond a lot of areas. Some of this I've been over before. But I felt, especially after I listened to Anjanae Davis's live this morning, AJ, what they call him, his live this morning. I don't know if you all heard it, but you really do need to check it out. I think I've got it shared on all of my pages. Anjanae Davis, he did a live this morning, dealing with both the pandemic, the aspect of the pandemic that we're in, also in relationship to the political climate that we're in, and how a lot of this is all interconnected, and the underlying condition that we're dealing with, both through the pandemic and through our political system, is systemic racism, an undergirding and underpinning of racism that continues to have people of color, brown and black people, red people, our Native American population. Somebody said I shouldn't say red, but if I say brown about Latino community and black about black folk and white about, it's just a color thing. Sometimes we need to stop being so sensitive, but it's all right. But, as we look at the disparate treatment that we all receive, and how this virus has focused in on the disparate nature of our health for those same subsets, those same ethnicities, the roots of racism are undergirding all of this. And the power that racism is drawing off of is through the political system. So AJ's live today was excellent. It always is. Shout out to Anjanae Davis. Please give him a listen and watch his lives, okay? Kevin, what's going on? Good to see you. Latoya, how you doing? Good to see you also. Jamia, good to see you also. I'm glad to see the two of you are on there back to back, because I'm going to touch on political races today a little bit too. Mary, good to see you. Teresa, good to see you also. 1 minute countdown. Okay, we got 8:39. 1 minute to go. Sean, good evening. All righty. Yes. Yeah, Michelle, it's so obvious where the gaps are. It's so obvious. And they've been there. But for 20, 30 years or so, everybody said, let's don't talk about politics. You don't talk about politics and religion. Whoever started that line, man, that was a lie to the pits of hell, and that done led us to be just dug in a hole as far as racism being covered up in our nation. Don't talk about it. Don't say nothing about it. Same thing as people that says, okay, well, we got this going on, so why you got to talk about that all the time? Well, we tried not talking about it, and all racism did was got worse. That's all it did. It got worse. So now, instead of we're gonna try to flip the script. Instead of doing what we always have been doing and expecting a different outcome, which somebody said is the definition of insanity, we're going to do some different things and expect a different outcome, you know? Like talking about the issues they say don't talk about. We're going to talk about them. Like going to the polls and voting because they say don't go to the polls and vote. It doesn't do any good. We're going to try going to the polls and voting. We're going to flip this thing around, and then we'll see if we see some change. Because the old way ain't working. It ain't been working. Oh, just don't say anything, you know. Be quiet about it, you know. So what you got? You got violence going on. People, you know, somebody in your house beating up other folks. And don't say nothing. Don't say nothing. What goes on in our house stays in our house. Man, and we got people that died because of that, for sure. And we got politicians who are doing exactly what they want to do because they say you don't talk about politics. So they just get in office and go do whatever the heck they want to do. New day, folks. New day, new way, for sure. As long as I got the breath of life, hey, new day, new way. Yeah, it's about that time, for sure. So, let's get started on the pandemic. And I'm not going to get real deep off into it like I did for the first few months. Y'all know I've been doing this on the pandemic since March the 14th, right? I think all of y'all on here, most of y'all on here know it. My niece Patricia, good to see you. All right, Brandon. It seemed like we just talked. Missy, all righty. But I've been talking about this pandemic since March the 14th on a regular basis. And putting the word out about, you know, be prepared, get ready, don't take this thing lightly. Do what's suggested as far as making sure that you stay protected. Stay in, wash hands, all of that I've been talking about since March 14th. Folks ain't listen. Folks ain't listen. And because folks ain't listen, now we see stuff really getting bad. Really getting bad. And it makes no kind of sense. That's right, Missy. In a state of denial. Regia, what's going on, my sister? All right, good to see you. Yes, and Pamela also. All righty. Our global deaths today, you know, we've been in the nation, in the world, in the entire world, it's been about 7 to 8 months that this monster has been taking lives. That death toll globally right now is up to 575,000. Over 500,000 people have died as a result of this virus. Okay, in 7 to 8 months. 7 to 8 months. Almost 600,000 people have died around the world. You know what I mean? People are left to grieve the loss of loved ones, all ages, all races, men and women, young and old, because of this virus. And of course, we have a huge population, and that doesn't represent the biggest there's a whole lot more people in the world. But if you're one of those who lost a loved one, that's big. It's big to you. If you're one of those 575,000 relatives, the sons and daughters of those that have died, the aunts and uncles of those that have died, the grandparents, it's serious to you. It's serious. So for those who want to trivialize this and say, you know, it's not that bad, and even though it's continuing to get worse, you know, those are some of the most cold and callous and insensitive people I've ever known. And I really, it makes me sick to even know that we have those kind of people on this earth. Okay. Sarah, how you doing? Ellen, it's always good to see you. Chris, what's going on? All righty. So, globally, 575,000 dead in the last 7 to 8 months. In our nation, in the United States, as of today, since February 6th, right, the second week in February, That was 158 days ago. 136,000 people in America have died from this virus. 136,000 out of the global 575,000. That's insane. That's insane. What is that? That's like maybe about 37% of the global deaths have been right here in America. I might add later on, as I talk about the political realm, about why we have such high numbers. I think everybody on here knows why our numbers are so high. Why we started late, but now we have the lion's share of the deaths. And it's climbing. It's steadily growing. 136,000 deaths in 158 days. What is that? Let's see. We got 30 days to a month. So that's about what? 5 months? 5 months time. 5 months. 136,000 dead. That ain't even talking about how many sick. And in South Carolina, we was doing good for a little while. Our first case was on March the 16th. Remember I said I started doing these lives on COVID right at 2 days before the first death in South Carolina. March 14th I started. March 16th was the first death. Okay. Now that wasn't that long ago. March the 16th, that was 120 days ago. 120 days ago. And in those 120 days, we've had 984 deaths. I remember when it was like 1 death and then 6 deaths and then 10 deaths and then 20 deaths. And folks was like, oh, this is just a flu and it's going away or whatever. Now here we are 120 days out. And now we're right at the door of our first 1,000 deaths. And them same people who was talking that, they're not exactly as vocal as they were because people are dying. People who went to those beaches and those parties and whatever, and some of them got sick from that, and they since have died from that, and they recorded that, that was a mistake. I should never have gone. Last words, I should never have gone. This is real. Your last words. It's crazy. Yeah, that 120 days does feel like a lifetime to me too. Juan, what's going on? Erica, what's happening? I mean, this 120 days, it seems like forever. Like we've been in this thing for a year or something like that. But just think about it. A minute ago I said about how this is getting worse. I just want you to wrap your minds around this, okay? From March the 16th until June 30th, okay, that was 106 days. From March 16th to June 30th, we had 735 deaths, okay? From the first death until the end of June, the last day of June, we had 735 deaths. From July 1st until today, what is that, 14 days? 14 days from July 1st until today, we've had 249 deaths in South Carolina. 106 days, we had 735 deaths, and in 14 days, we had 249 deaths. 33% of South Carolina deaths have been in the last 14 days. And you want to say that it's all right? It's getting better? Open up the schools? Everything's good? How are you saying something like that when the reality is, like I said, in the first 106 days, we had 735 deaths, but in the last 2 weeks, we had 249. And that number's growing. Our hospitals, y'all don't believe the hype. Our hospitals are being overwhelmed right now. Our people who are working, our frontline workers in these hospitals, they are feeling it now. They might not have felt it, all the way up until now. And I've been saying it's coming. And I said that I was praying that I was wrong, because I've always said, if I'm wrong, people are living. If I'm right, then we're going to be overwhelmed and people are going to be dying. And what's happening right now? A full 1/3, 33% of the deaths in South Carolina have happened in the last 2 weeks. And that number is climbing. Our hospital bed space is maxing out rapidly. This is real. I'm just telling you the truth. Even though a lot of these hospitals are not going to confirm it, I personally believe, and it's an opinion, I believe that they're intentionally not telling us the truth about the numbers, about the hospital bed space, and other things in order to make us think everything's all right. Yes, go ahead and send your kids back to school. But I guarantee you, them six-figured people that run them hospitals, they ain't sending their kids to no school. Guaranteed. For sure. Because they know what's happening. I wouldn't be surprised if over the next week you see the refrigerated morgue trucks pull up near the hospitals. I just hope our news outlets have the guts to report it. Okay. It's about time to tell the truth. They're going to have to shut this place back down because we didn't do what we needed to do, because we didn't have leadership in our state when this first step that came about that said, nope, I don't care who's trying to pressure me. We're going to do what's necessary. We're going to believe the science. We're going to believe the scientists. We're going to believe what Dr. Fauci is saying, because he's the number one epidemiologist in our nation and has been leading that organization for the last 40 years. He knows what he's talking about. Instead of listening to him, we listening to Donald Trump and Mike Pence and Sixpence and the hobbits who don't know a darn thing about what they're talking about, other than the fact that they want to make sure that their profit margins are continuing. And people dying are collateral damage. Yeah, I said it. I said it. They'll be all right. They'll be all right. It's crazy. It's crazy. And they're talking about opening up the schools, right? Pressuring people. President pressuring people. And of course, here in South Carolina, we got the president's people. Couldn't say what I was getting ready to say. We had a prison term. Y'all know I've been to prison, right? I think y'all do. Okay. Actually, it's a street term. It's called Du Bois, President's. It's crazy. It's crazy. They just follow right behind whatever he says. Open up the schools. Yeah. People gonna die. Yeah. Our kids might get sick. Yeah. Open up the schools. Yeah. Du Bois. Whatever he say, go. Okay. That's why we got to vote. So we got to vote him slap out of there this November. It has to be an election that is irrefutable. That even when it gets to electoral college, they will be so shamed to try to overturn the overwhelming number of votes that have been cast against this miscreant that they won't even try to overturn that. We need to go to the polls like the ants do to somebody to step on the ant pile. We need to flood the vote. Everybody, vote him slap out. When he wakes up on November the 4th, and his people who love him so dearly wake up on November the 4th, they need to realize that they are truly the minority in America and that they will never have the majority again. And the way we do it, we outvote them 10,000 to 1. Now, I'm going to talk about it in a minute. Now, I got much love for all of those who want to get in this race, but I'm going to tell you what. 2020, the price is too crucial right now for us to be emotionally involved in this. As far as, okay, I want to get in this. I want to get in, and I respect that. But it's too much at stake right now. It's too much. We need those who support, who stood with Bernie and Steyer and Buttigieg and Warren and Kamala, everybody to come together and get behind the candidate that can win. Because if we play around and drop votes here and drop votes there and drop votes there, we're going to wake up on November 4th in hell. You think it's been bad for the last 3 years since he's been in here? Give him 4 more. He already showed you what he's going to do to black people, brown people, our Native Americans. He showed us. And we're going to play games with him? Man, I'm way off script. For sure. For sure. Greg, what's going on? All righty. Deborah, what's going on? This is just real talk. Real talk. We cannot play this game, okay, this time. And I'm going to say it, again in a little while. I'm totally in favor of those who want to run for office. I've always promoted and supported that. But in this season, there's too much at stake. There's too much at stake. And every vote that's taken away from voting him out is another vote that'll keep him in. There's only one candidate running for office right now who has any kind of possibility of beating Donald Trump. And he just happens to be the Democratic candidate. Perfect? Heck no. Nowhere near. But he sure ain't Donald Trump. And I'm going to talk about what Trump and the Republican parties believe in versus what Biden and the Democratic Party believes in. Even though we fall short here and there, you ain't going to find no perfect candidate because you ain't going to find no perfect president, for sure. But which one do you want? You want the one like the apple got a little soft spot on it or the one that's rotten to the core? Which apple do you want? It's just that simple, people. It's just that simple. And the more people, Kanye West, publicity stunt or whatever it is, instead of him just saying, okay, let me make sure that I'm getting people out to vote this miscreant out of office. Oh, I'm getting in the race. I wonder how big the check is that Trump wrote for him to split the black vote. Yeah, I said it. For sure. I wonder. Because he has no reason to be in this race. Tiffany, good to see you. Alrighty. None whatsoever. Even talking about it. He has no business even talking about it. Him, I respect, our good sisters who have decided that they want to run. I respect them for sure. Because I believe that their heart is right. I believe their heart is right. Wrong time, right heart, though. And I mean no offense by what I'm saying. Just wrong time. We got to get rid of Trump. And the reality is, let me just put it this way. If my heart told me right now I needed to run for the president, I'd have to stop and say, heart, shut up. Because I can't win. There's no way I can win this race. And even though folks in the low country in here and everything might support my candidacy, and even some would vote for me, right? And I might even be able to mount a campaign even across the nation. And some would vote for me. A lot would vote for me just because I'm the black guy, right? Yeah, just because the black folks will vote for the black guy. Yeah, I said it. But the reality is I will never accumulate enough votes to win the election, to defeat Donald Trump. And every vote that I take will take away from the one that can win. It's just that simple, people. It's just that simple. Oh, he withdrew tonight? Faye said he was never in. Yeah, he was never in anything. I think something really wrong with Kanye, to be honest with you. But, he makes some great music, though. He's all right, Kanye, no way. Sure, you're right. But that's the reality of it, people. That's the reality of this season that we're in for this election. We cannot let our vote be sent in different directions. We need to just decide that, and folks, I think AJ talked about it on his live, and I think that I've encouraged everybody to go back and watch Anjanae Davis. It's on all of my pages from this morning. That, folks talk about the lesser of two evils. Shoot, we've been voting for the lesser of two evils all along. What's different now? Let's give in right now and do what we need to do to get rid of Donald Trump. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's make sure that when we wake up on November 4th, Donald Trump is no longer our actual president. We'll have a president-elect, but it's not Donald Trump. Let's do that. Of course, that's going to create a whole nother problem I'll talk about on another live, okay? Because I don't have time to get into it and how crazy his supporters are going to act then. So it's going to happen. Trust me, it's going to happen. But we need to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to get rid of this guy. And splitting our vote is not going to do it. It's not going to do it. Like I said, we need to outvote them 10,000 to 1 so that when the tally is done on November the 3rd, the majority is so overwhelming that there's no way that it'll get to the electoral college, because it will go to the electoral college, but they'll be so ashamed because of the overwhelming number of people who voted Donald Trump out that they will not try that foolishness. You see, that's how we win. That's how we win. Folks, this is chess, not checkers. We need to handle our business like this is chess, not checkers. Get out of the emotions. Get it out. This is business. Why is this business? This is business because our children's security is. Listen, this president is telling the schools to open back up when we're in the middle of a pandemic. How is it that he said, or how is it that in our state we closed down 2 months ago in order to overcome the pandemic? And now that we're spiking and it's getting worse, they say open back up. Tell me, where does that make sense at? That makes no sense to me. None. We're getting worse. Death toll going up, like I said. 249 deaths in July. 14 days. 735 before in 106 days. It's getting worse. And the whole conversation every time I turn on the news is about opening back up schools. And we keep focusing on the children, right? What about the teachers? Who's going to teach the children when our teachers get sick? Who's going to tell the children your teacher is dead because we opened back up? What kind of sense does that make? Folks, I got a high school education, and I'm doing a little bit better in this thought process and this logical thinking than I think that our governor is doing right now. And even some of our local municipality leaders. And definitely some of our school board people, like our superintendent. Absent without leave. Just missing in action. Pulling strings behind closed doors. Listening to Betsy DeVos, who just embarrassed herself on national TV in that interview yesterday. If y'all ain't seen her interview, listen to it. Listen how she would not answer the questions about opening up these schools. Listen how she dodged it, ducked and around it, and the interviewer was steadily holding it on her, man, holding it on her. But that's not what I asked you. That's not what I asked you. I asked you this. Why won't you answer this? Holding it on her. So if you haven't seen Betsy DeVos's interview yesterday, look it up. Very interesting. And we have Republicans that are in charge of this state here who follow right behind. That's their girl because it's Donald Trump's girl. I know there are people here who have close associations and affiliations with Republicans. And I have Republicans that are my friends. I keep the political aspect of it out. We don't talk politics, okay, at all, because we differ on those. Everything that comes out of their mouth about politics, we differ. As soon as they start that, we done. Conversation over. So we can talk. We can communicate about everything else, but not all of the issues that we face out here. We can't do it. You know, South Carolina is, you know, our nation. Our nation is in a problem. Okay, in South Carolina, our General Assembly. Okay, let me focus on our General Assembly right quick. Talk about to you about these Republicans. Some of you have heard this message before. Some of you haven't. Evangelist Michelle Felder, good to see you. It was good to see that you and Aisha made that trip yesterday. God bless you, sister. Continue, stay in the ministry for sure. We love you, that's for sure. But you know the Republicans in South Carolina have had control of both the chambers of the General Assembly, the House and the Senate. You know, the Senate, the General Assembly is made up of two different what they call houses or chambers. One is the House of Representatives and the other is the Senate. The Senate is the greater chamber, the House is the lesser chamber. Bills get passed by passing in both the House and then it goes over to the Senate where they are finalized, okay, and has to pass in both houses before bills or legislation is passed. Well, since 2000, the Republicans in South Carolina for the last 20 years, they've had control of both houses. They've had control of all of the votes. 2/3 majority of the General Assembly is Republican. 2/3 of the House is Republican and 2/3 of the Senate is Republican. Now, when you control 2 out of 3 votes, everything that you want passes, isn't that right? And the one that got the 1 vote don't get nothing. So the Democrats been putting forth legislation in order to fix things in South Carolina, and the Republicans have been voting against it. And then everything that's not going to fix our state that the Republicans put forth, they vote because they have the majority. 2-1. So when you stop and you look at our state and you look at how high the domestic violence is in our state compared to the nation, we've been in the top 3 or 4 for the last 10 years for domestic violence. When it comes to education, our educational system has been one of the worst in the nation for God knows how long. Our poverty level is higher than the national poverty level. There's so many different wrongs, as it's been said many times. South Carolina is first in everything we should be last in, and last in everything that we should be first in. And why is that? Because for 20 years, the same people have been in power with the 2-1 vote. The Republicans. It's crazy. Listen to this list. Republicans fight against universal health care. Nikki Haley said she wouldn't expand Medicaid, right? People died as a result of that. Jobs that could have been here were not brought here because she didn't expand Medicaid. It's crazy. It's crazy. But the Republicans, they fight against universal health care, Obamacare. If it's Obama, they got to get rid of it, right? No matter who's being helped. The people are collateral damage. They watered down bills that would reduce domestic violence. This is what Republicans do. They fight against public education and for privatization. That's what the Republicans do. They fight against paying people a living wage. And they fight against repealing the right to work and at-will firing laws that are in our state. They openly fight against the right to organize unions. Openly. And as long as they got the 2-1 vote, they can do that. They run things. The Republicans deny women equal rights in the workspace and the right for women to choose what they do with their own body. They deny the members of our LGBTQ community their rights to be who they are and to love who they want. The Republicans deny science, just like the dude in the White House. They deny science. They deny the science that proves climate change is real. They don't care nothing about no offshore drilling and the impact it'll have on our environment. And they won't lift a finger to ensure that clean air and clean water is available for all South Carolinians. The Republicans, for sure. And they've been empowered for the last 20 years. Why? Because we have not voted them out. Talking about, oh, my vote don't matter. No, when you don't vote it, it don't matter. That's the deal. They fight against common sense gun legislation that might save South Carolinian lives. Common sense gun legislation. but they'll fight tooth and nail to save an unborn child's life, right? Oh, yeah, anti-abortion, Fight tooth and nail to save an unborn child's life, but they won't fight to save Ray Ray and Pookie and them's lives out on the block. They won't fight to save kids' lives that's in school, or Jews' lives in synagogues, or Muslims' lives in mosques, or gay lives in a club, or concert goers at a concert, or 9 Christians at a Bible study. They won't fight to save their lives, but they'll fight to save the unborn child's life. Talking about we're pro-life. Reality is they pro-death. These same Republicans who are in office because we have not gone to the polls and voted them out. Just like their fearless leader, DJ T-Rump, what they call him, on the wheels of steel. Yeah, listen, they won't even pass a hate crime bill, which is the craziest thing I've ever heard. They will not even pass a hate crimes bill. At all. It makes no sense. Baby girl, I'll see you in a minute, okay?
I only want to hug.
Thank you so much. She's back. They won't even pass a hate crimes bill. Out of 50 states, last year there were 5 that didn't have a hate crimes bill. Now it's down to 3. And guess who one of those 3 still is? South Carolina. These folks so crazy. Can you understand that in 2015, right after Mother Emanuel, first off, it was a fight in order to get the flag taken down off the State House grounds. The Republicans were like, oh no, that flag didn't kill nobody. That flag didn't kill nobody. It was obvious to everybody else that this flag was one of the motivating factors in Dylann Roof's life, what it stood for, racism. He said he did this to start a race war. And the Republicans were like, no. So they had to go into chambers. It passed in the House, right? And then it went over to the Senate, and they had to almost duke it out in there to get this thing passed. Instead of the Republicans just saying, it's the right thing to do. Pull that thing down. We don't even need to debate this. Let's just go to a vote, and a unanimous vote to bring it down. You know what the irony of that is? Before they went for that vote, right? They had the funeral services for the Reverend Senator Clementa Pinckney, the pastor of Mother Emanuel, who was the first person to get shot that night on June 17, 2015. The first person that Dylann Roof shot was the pastor, who just happened to not only be a pastor, but a South Carolina state senator also. And one of the public displays was done in the rotunda of the State House, where they meet at, the General Assembly meets at. They had his casket on display there, and everybody passed by, and you saw these same legislators, these same senators walk by, and they saw Reverend Pinckney's wife and children, and they were like so grieving and all of that, and and the tears and all of that. And they went back into chambers and would not just readily say, take that darn red rag down now. They fought it. They fought against it. And knowing that this was a hate crime, June 17th, 2015, 5 years ago, here we are 5 years later, and that same Republican Senate and that same Republican 2/3 majority House have not passed the hate crime bill in South Carolina. What? If that would have been a white church and a black dude would have went in there and killed up everybody, guaranteed it would have been the other way around. We wouldn't be out in the streets in South Carolina with no Black Lives Matter flags flying. You can believe that. Them same Republicans would have flipped the script on that. Yeah, it's racist. It's racism for sure. The fight against the Republicans is deep for sure. And that's why I tell anybody, I don't trust any of them. Not with the welfare of my granddaughter who was here, or my children, or my wife, or my community, or those of different ethnicities. I don't trust them because they've never given me any reason to trust them. Donald Trump has never given me any reason to trust anything he said. He lies better than any criminal I was ever involved in the criminal world. Every drug addict, he's the more chronic liar than every drug addict I've ever interacted with in my life. And drug addicts are the best liars out. Straight up. They've never given me any reason to trust them, not at the local level, not at the state level, or at the federal level. Never once. I don't have to look at anything to know that not a single Republican. In the South Carolina House, there's 80 Republicans, which is 2/3 of the majority. In the Senate, there's 27, which is 2/3 of the majority there. 107 out of our 170 legislators, 2/3. Not a one of them will author a bill or support legislation that will provide universal health care, that will strengthen gun laws, that will end the cycle of domestic violence, that will provide a quality public education, that will pay people what they deserve on their job, that will stand up for workers' rights, that will ensure women's rights, that will ensure LGBTQ rights, that will protect our environment. Not a one of them will sponsor legislation or support legislation that's going to take care of the people. And most of them same Republicans, right? Most of them, if you ask them about Black Lives Matter, the first thing going to come out of their mouth is all lives matter. Ask Mike Pence. Yeah, it's tight, but it's right. For sure. I guarantee you that none of the Republicans has any kind of bill on the table and is planning on put a bill on the table or supporting one that's going to help the people of South Carolina in all of those different areas I just talked about. And at least the Democrats, they have been trying to do right by the people, but they've been constantly getting blocked by the Republicans who had a control. When you have one vote to the other people's 2 votes, how can you win? And you look at our condition in South Carolina. Look at the condition of the black man, the brown man, the red man, and the yellow man. Politically correct. The African Americans, the Latino community, the Native American community, and the Asian community. Look at the difference between them and these, especially, and I'm going to just put it out there, these old gray-haired white men, because that's who they predominantly are. Them and their children, their seed. Sometimes the demon spawn. Crazy. Noted Republicans. So let's talk about some of the noted Republicans in South Carolina, our elected officials, okay? Let's just start at the top. I'm not even going to talk about Donald Trump. We already know. If you don't know, just turn on the TV. Go to what he calls fake news, you know. That's a good ploy that he used. And it's the same thing that Hitler did, you know, in Nazi Germany, you know. Definitely unseat the media presentation and call it as fake. That way you can do anything that you want to once you discredit the truth-telling aspect of our presentation. Noted Republicans. We have 2 United States senators in Congress. Congress is made up of both the United States House of Representatives and the United States Senate. Okay, that's in D.C. And each state has 2 representatives to the United States Senate in Congress, okay? So Congress, that one name means the 2 houses, the House of Representatives and the Senate on the United States on the federal level. So we have 2 senators. One is Lindsey Graham and the other is Tim Scott. Now, y'all know ain't no cussing on my feed, so please don't do it. Don't do it. Sometimes they make me want to, though, for sure. I'm not even going to talk about Scott because he got a couple more years in office, and he claims he's not going to. But let me just tell you this, though. When you see a Republican doing things that makes them look a little better, okay, they're running game. It looks like they care, like they're doing things that's kind of different than what they normally do, things that, you know, like maybe promoting, you know, education or healthcare or something like that. Be careful. Be careful. They're running game. They're running. I'm gonna put that out there. So in case Tim decides to run again in the next election, then when his 6 years is up, I think that'll be what, 2022. Yeah, don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype. He need to go. Period. Or whoever is going to succeed him as the Republican nominee, they need to go. And no, I'm not running for that seat. Okay. All righty. But right now, 2020, we have Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham. Y'all seen TV, them attack ads that they got going against Jamie Harrison? Jamie Harrison is running against Tim Scott. Jamie Harrison is the former chair of the South Carolina Democratic Party, and definitely fully capable and qualified to not only run against Lindsey, but to beat him. I have full support of Jamie Harrison for a couple of reasons, not just because Lindsey needs to go, but I think Jamie is the only candidate out here right now that's qualified to fill that seat and will do right by the state of South Carolina. One of the reasons why is because he knows Pastor Dixon going to be right on him, on his tail about doing right, with a whole army of more people called the South Carolina, the Democratic Black Caucus of South Carolina. We're going to make sure that the voice of the people is heard. Okay? So he's on the ballot. He's on the ballot in this term against Lindsey Graham. Okay? I don't need to elaborate as far as Lindsey Graham. I don't think so. But in Congress, we still have a 2/3 majority Republican Senate. In 2018, with Joe Cunningham and some more, we were able to take the United States House of Representatives. We were able to take that. So we got a majority in the House. We got to maintain that, though. We can't not go vote and still maintain that majority in the U.S. House of Representatives. But we have to flip the Senate, too. We have to flip the Senate. The place where Cory Booker works at and Bernie Sanders works at and Kamala Harris and them, the Senate, we need to flip it so that they have the control. Because they will vote in favor of the stuff that's going to help us. They will have the 2-to-1 vote then. Okay? What happened in the House? We flipped the House in 2018. Joe Cunningham and Congressman Jim Clyburn, Representative Jim Clyburn, they put a bill on some gun legislation, gun violence, gun legislation. And what happened? It passed in the House because we took control of the House. You know, that was the first time in 25 years legislation dealing with gun legislation passed in the House of Representatives in the United States. 25 years, that was the first time. Why? Because the Democrats took control of the House. You see, we can say whatever we want to, but we need to get the right people in place so that we can get things done. Send it over to the Senate, where we don't have the control at, and it's been sitting on the desk ever since. This is a year and a half ago. They're not going to do anything with it. So that's why in November, we need to flip that. We need to make sure that we get enough Democratic senators in there to flip that thing from 2-to-1 Republican to 2-to-1 Democrat so we can make things happen. Okay? In South Carolina, I just talked about it. We have a 2/3 majority General Assembly, Republicans in the House and the Senate. They run it. They got 2 votes to the Democrats' 1 vote. And the Democrats, no matter what they're pushing forward, cannot get anything done because the Republicans block it. Or else they say, okay, if you want that done, then we need to add this and we need to take that out. They literally pick and choose what's going to go in the bills that's going to help people. And all of the things I talked about, that's none of the stuff that they're going to support. They don't do it, period. They're Republicans. That's what they do. And Maya Angelou said, I think it was Maya Angelou, she said that if you see somebody do something, believe them the first time. Believe them the first time. We've been believing this foolishness for 20 years. Oh, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. I'm not going to vote because it never get better, but it's going to get better. 2020 is time for us to man up, people. Let me move on down. Republicans, okay? Remember, this is South Carolina is the armpit of America right now and has been that for a long time. Again, as that phrase, last in everything we should be first in, and first in everything we should be last in. The only claim to fame we got is tourism And it's a tourism based on the historic lies of the Confederacy. Let that sink in. And they're making money off the fact that our ancestors, me as a black man, was kidnapped from my home nation, were kidnapped, forced here, forced into free labor, never given anything to compensate, had to fight for everything. And now they're going to tell me that all lives matter. Them same Republicans, you ask them about Black Lives Matter, first thing going to come out of their mouth, all lives matter. Make you want to slap somebody. I didn't say that. Republicans. You know our governor is a Republican? Follows right behind Donald Trump. No matter what Trump says, he's got foghorn leghorn. I say, son, what in tarnation is you talking about? If President Trump says do it, we do that. Open them schools up. Governor Henry McMaster is a Republican. Our Attorney General, the top cop for the state, is a Republican, Alan Wilson. His dad is the congressman for the second congressional district, also. Woo, Lord help me. We talk about education, right? You know our superintendent of education, Molly Spearman, right? She's a Republican. Betsy DeVos girl, privatization girl. And what happens with privatization? Basically, it puts public schools out of business. And who attends more public schools than anybody? Black kids and brown kids. Collateral damage for these same people. Molly Spearman is a Republican. On the Charleston County School Board, since we're on the educational tip, Charleston County School Board. Cindy Bond Coach, Kate Darby, and Todd Garrett, all Republicans. And the one black dude that the Coalition for Kids supported the last time, Reverend Eric Mack, in my humble opinion, and this is my opinion, although he claims Democrat, I ain't seeing no blue in him. Look more red to me. Straight up. Pray for me, Reverend Mack, for sure. That's just my opinion. Because he sides with this group called Coalition for Kids that paid for him to win that election. The Coalition for Kids is a front for privatization for our school system, our Charleston County school system. And they spent $750,000 to get 4 candidates elected in the last 2018 to the school board in the 2018 election. Kate Darby, Cindy Coates, Eric Mack, and Todd Garrett got them. And then they brought in a 4th candidate after the fact, Chris Frazier, and got him on board so they would have a controlling influence in what happens in our Charleston County School District. Our kids right now are under the hand of the Coalition for Kids, which their fundamental goal is the privatization of our school system. Basically, a new age Jim Crow that's going to segregate our schools and farm out poor children into the prison system, into the drug game, and into a life where there is no kind of American dream, no dream whatsoever at all. And guess what? They so greedy, they're going to try to do it again this year. You know, there are 5 seats, I think, is up for election this year in 2020 for the Charleston County School Board. And they've already got 3 candidates out that they vetted to get in this race, and watch the money they put behind this thing again. See, we can't fall for it this year like we did in 2018 and let that money influence us just because we see their names and these pictures and we getting mailers, and you got our Democratic elected officials standing up, going on radio stations talking about support them. No, we cannot fall for that again. I'm going to talk about names again soon, okay? But these new candidates, Coalition for Kids, Charles Monteith. They done found another black one to put out there, you know. Courtney Waters. I think they done found another black one to put out there. And Lauren Herderich. Okay, I guess that's her name. And somebody said it's somebody named Hunter too. So basically what I'm looking at is they're trying to take over our school district. They're trying to take over our school board. This privatization, this Betsy DeVos clone is trying to take over Charleston County School District so that they can privatize our schools and basically farm our black and brown children out of the educational process. Tell me voting don't matter. These people are setting up our kids. Setting them up. And if we allow that to happen, then we about some sorry individuals. Straight up. And that's why I'm putting this information. I'm putting it out early, and I'm going to keep on putting it out because we cannot fall for the advertisements and the slick campaign ads and the pictures everywhere and all of that just because they got them. Let me just put it this way. These people put $750,000 into a school board campaign in order to get 4 people elected. They got money like that. They bought the election. And if you think that those 4 that got elected are in there operating without any kind of allegiance to the people that paid that money for them, we need to have an educational system for those that believe that, period. Something wrong with y'all, for sure. They owe them for getting them that seat. And it was probably part of the arrangement up front. We're going to get you on this board so we can make sure that you move our agenda along. These people came out of nowhere. The Coalition for Kids came out of nowhere. It's the term dark money. Google dark money. Google dark money and Charleston County School District. Google that and see what comes up. For sure. And the irony for me is that we got black folks involved in that thing, working for them. There was a name that we used to call them, back in the day. I'm not going to use that. But folks know. Republicans. Not a Democrat among those I've named. Mayor Keith Summey is a Republican and a Trump supporter. And what has he done to help black, brown, and poor people in North Charleston in 25 years of service as mayor? His son, Elliot, is a Republican. If I put all them names I just named, if I dropped Barack Obama in the middle of that, would you just smile a little bit? Doesn't it seem he doesn't fit in there, does he? No. John Lewis doesn't fit in there, does he? Cory Booker doesn't fit in there, does he? Bernie Sanders doesn't fit in there, does he? Folks, y'all ain't gonna like this? Joe Biden, he doesn't fit in that group, does he? He's different. He's the kind of person that we do need to get behind because he's not like these people. Perfect, no. But not like them. Not like them. Get people in that at least think like us. For sure. So, and the problem isn't just the elected officials when it comes to Republicans, because they don't just waltz into office, without people voting for them. Republicans vote for their people. They don't jump ship. They stand their ground. They gonna vote for Donald Trump. No matter what he did. Donald Trump in 2016 said, I could kill somebody in the middle of Times Square, I think he said, and get away with it. Wow. And he's dead right. Yeah, he could. 2016, you think the Republicans stayed home? Democrats stayed home. You think the Republicans stayed home and didn't vote for Trump? Or if they disagree with him, they went and they voted for Hillary? They didn't go vote for Hillary. No. They didn't stay at home. No. They went right to the poll and voted for Donald Trump. If there's anything that we can take away from the Republicans, it's how we need to go to the polls and vote for our people. Period. Put all that foolishness aside. Okay? Yeah, he got a pass. Who don't? Yeah, he done messed up in the past. Who don't? Who didn't? But it's our job to make sure moving forward that we get him in office, get rid of Trump, get him in office, and then hold him to the standard that we want. See, we've dropped the ball on that. We stopped holding politicians to a standard. We basically said, I'll give you my vote, and then you go do what you said you're going to do. And that's a lie out of the pits of hell. That's not what happens. That is not what happens. It doesn't happen that way. They go into those positions and they stay in those positions and don't do what the people want. So the people have got to man up. We have got to man up and make sure that our vote matters by making sure that our voice carries on beyond the ballot box. Okay? All righty. For sure. So no matter which way you look at it, when it comes to Donald Trump ain't the, he is who he is. And people who voted for him. Them people who stand with him now, knowing that he's rich. And people who will defend him right now, they're the problem. They're accessories before and after the fact of the crime of electing somebody to office like Donald Trump. So for sure, we have got to change this thing up. It's that time. It is that time. And I mean no offense to those that are running for office at all, for sure, except for Kanye. Kanye's a donkey, straight up. He need to go and sit his behind down somewhere, and shut up and go make some music. Okay, stay in your lane. Because right now for us as black people, poor people, people who care about other people, brown people, red people, yellow people, people who care about one another, white folks that are our allies and everything, we need to be doing everything we can within our power to make sure that Donald Trump loses this election decisively. 10,000 to 1, 100,000 to 1. Get that fool out of office. He got to go. He got to go. Y'all don't be hoping that COVID get him. Y'all don't do that. That ain't right. That ain't right, y'all. Okay. But he got to go. And we have the power to get him out. So I just urge those that are involved in the system and who are planning on running, please just, weigh the odds. Is this the season for this? I'm not saying don't do it. Lord, spare life, health, and strength, please. Just look for a different season. Let's focus on getting this tyrant out of office who has demonstrated that he don't care nothing about black, brown, and poor people or our Native American population. He don't care. He don't care. And his cabinet don't care. And he's setting up a Supreme Court, our supreme lawmakers that won't care, setting it up for future generations. Please, folks, please, as I close, please, let's not let this opportunity to take the White House. And remember, when you go into that booth, right? And I know there's a lot of lazy people who are going to just pull one lever. You pull that Democratic lever, you're voting for Jamie Harrison. You're voting for Democrats in your state house. You're voting for Democrats in your county races that are partisan races. Your solicitors, your sheriffs. You're voting for all of these. Wait, don't do that. You're voting for.
Can I say bye?
Absolutely. You're voting for all of those when you go into that booth. So. Just understand what's on the ballot this time. There is so much that's on the ballot this time that we cannot afford to play around with this election. Please. Your children's future, their children's future is on the ballot this time in 2020. Because if we don't get rid of this dude this time, God only knows what's going to happen to our future generations as people of color and poor people in America. He don't love us though. Okay? All right. Well, I thank everyone for coming on tonight. And I'm sitting here with somebody who wanted to say good evening. And she just did great tonight. Just something else. Okay?
Good night. Thank you for coming.
Yes. Well, can you tell them this? Okay? And you say, like Pop always says, that I love you, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about that. Can you say that?
I love you, and there's nothing we can do about that.
There's nothing we can do about it. Okay, all right, I'll take it. All right. Well, listen, you all have a great great night, okay? And we'll talk again
Bye.
soon. All righty.
Later,
Love y'all.
Tater.
Peace.
Later, Tater.